Giovanna, and I know it's been a while. So I am just doing a quick episode just to tell you that I am still here, and I've just been doing a bit of traveling, and I wanted to share with you some of the experiences I had throughout the travel, but also to share with you some of the things that I plan to do and publish in the next few weeks, which is going to be more around automation strategy. And so, yeah, that's the reason why I've been a bit silent and since my last episode. So we could, I guess, say that this is officially the start of season 2. And I think it helps me to structure these episodes in seasons because I can't always be available to record one. So over the last 3 months, Corey, who works in the business, he's also my husband. We've been on a much needed adventure, working and traveling. And we basically made a very quick decision to pack one suitcase, include our laptops, and just to pick a destination. And somebody I was talking to recommended that we go to and check out Izmir in Turkey. And so within 3 days, we booked our plane ticket, and that was May. I think it's late May. And we were jetting off to Izmir, Turkiye, I should say. That's the proper way to pronounce Turkiye. And that's actually what I published my last episode, was in Turkey. And Izmir was a pleasant surprise for me because we've been to Turkey before. We've stayed in Istanbul, which I really, really love. Izmir was so different to Istanbul. So it's quite liberal part of the country or part of Turkey. A lot of young students and quite a young crowd, a lot of clubs, pubs, and tourists. So it seems like Turkey is a place that I really resonated with, and the food in Turkey. I had to stop myself from eating all the simits and peynir, which is cheese. But essentially, we stayed there for a month in Izmir, just so we can get our feet together. This is a kind of a strategy. I've done this now for a few times. Traveling, Corey and I traveled for over a year. I think what we found is that this time we wanted to try staying in a location for 2 weeks rather than 1 month. Izmir was 1 month on this occasion, but every time we travel, we would normally stay 1 month in each location. And that's only because sometimes when you do travel, you are outside of your comfort zone. You don't have ability to always manage all the different things that happen in the business or your personal life, learning new languages. There's quite a lot of different things that you have to get used to when you're in a new environment. And so if you decide to do the same thing that I'm doing, traveling and working, this is probably the best strategy is to stay for a month and to have a home base. Always our first thing that we do normally is to find our happy place, I guess, somewhere we could go for a coffee, go for a walk, and always kind of repeat that routine. So we always have this routine that every new country we find is a good coffee place and a good breakfast place that becomes our happy place. And then when you go for a walk, you come back and you can then focus on the work. And then we would take our lunch breaks, walk around the city, come back, work a bit more, and then we would have clients from US as well as Australia and some in Europe, and they're all in different time zones. So you're kind of working across 10 to 12 hours each day, but you decide how you want to spend your time. So that's my advice if you are looking to do something similar, or if you have anything better than what I'm doing. I'm very, very happy to hear from you on that. But it was a very spontaneous decision to do this. We've been working with clients all over the world, and most of our clients are very happy for us to be anywhere where the communication challenges are with some of our clients is that when you're in your local country, some clients decide that it's easier to call and chat, which is fine. That's great. But when you are traveling, that can usually be a barrier. So you have to get used to doing emails. We've been doing a lot of video, Loom type of communications, and which I think is now, I've heard people use this term, asynchronous communication. Synchronous communication means that we can be in two different time zones, but we're talking in simultaneously, or we're not in a simultaneous live one-on-one type of conversation, but we're still having a conversation through video calls and recorded video calls as well. So this really was helpful, and I would say a lot of clients have welcomed that type of communication. I think it made everyone's lives easier. I think from a time zone perspective, you also need to be able to plan for that as well, and be ready to work some really crazy hours. So if you're not a morning person and you're not used to running meetings in the mornings, that may be a challenge to do if you are wanting to have this type of lifestyle. So it's not easy, it's not for everyone, but we enjoy it. And I think after being in Australia for the last 3 years in Melbourne, being in that comfort zone routine, we just felt we needed to get out and go on a bit of an adventure. And that usually helps us get inspired. You get to see other things. During our trip, for example, Corey rediscovered his passion for craft beer. And I also started to appreciate craft beer because we ended up Googling. We don't chat GPT for this type of things. We Google where is a craft beer place near us. So every country we go to, we would like to visit a craft brewery. And we were pleasantly surprised to see a few breweries in Izmir, Turkey. It's just funny how things work, discovering different things, and you start to attract positive things. So we ended up actually picking this location, the only craft beer place in Izmir, which I believe from memory was called People Republic. I may have to include that in my show notes if I'm actually wrong on that. But we ended up sitting next to the master brewer, the only female master brewer in Turkey, and she actually developed a beer type, I think Kolsch beer, that won an award in Brussels. And we were sitting next to them, and they were just basically opening their new brewery close to Izmir, and they just decided to come and enjoy a nice beer. I don't think they were drinking Becks, I think, at the time, but they were just celebrating that because it took them 6 years to do that. And we ended up, what was supposed to be a half-an-hour chat, we ended up actually creating long-lasting relationships. We exchanged numbers. It was very inspiring to meet different people and different cultures and what they had to go through, and how challenging it can be to run a brewery in a country that is so regulated, such as Turkey. So that was quite interesting, and I'm so happy and grateful for that experience. It was definitely inspiring. And then we ended up going to more touristy locations. So if you haven't been to Turkey, Bodrum is a very beautiful location on the Mediterranean. You could even go to Greece. Maybe it's an hour or even shorter trip, boat ride to Kos Island. So you're surrounded by some really beautiful scenery, and there's also a nice beer place there as well. So I've started to learn more about beer, and Corey is definitely the craft beer blogger. I am more interested in talking to different business owners. And the only reason we actually ended up, after this conversation with Izmir, we actually ended up going to Greece. And the only reason for that is because Corey had a craft beer that he loved in Athens from a brewery called Solo Brewery, and they're based in Crete. We thought, let's just go and pack up and go to Crete and visit this brewery. And that again was another experience because we learned that the brewery is one of the best craft beer breweries in Greece, and the guy who runs it used to run a very big craft brewery in Norway and became a global brand. When you talk to people like this, you just get so inspired by their stories and the reasons why they do what they do. So it was definitely something that making that decision to travel in within 3 days of us deciding that we want to go to Izmir, Turkey, packing up, we were on our way to so many different destinations, meeting so many different people, and also, listening to podcasts and things like that, and connecting it back to technology, because ultimately this podcast is about automation and making marketing automation simple. And I was really inspired by some of the entrepreneurial ingenuity that we've witnessed. Nice dinner somewhere in Izmir. The FPOS machine broke down. This old guy on his walking stick, he's like, "Don't worry," in his broken English. Actually, most people didn't speak good English in Izmir. And so we would use hands and broken Turkish. And that was also exciting when you're forced to learn and to communicate something that I would say that's a learning language model, isn't it? Same as ChatGPT, but you're actually talking to people who you don't understand, and you now have to quickly learn and adapt to that environment. And so this old gentleman on his walking stick, I would not even think of this, but so clever. He's like, "Don't worry, we are gonna walk across the road, and he's just pointing it to the shop. I'm like, well, that's just a supermarket, that's just a small grocery shop. And he's going in there and he's talking to this friend, and then he tells the guy over the counter, "This is the amount. Your FPOS machine, we pay whatever the amount was. Let's just say it was $20. Then the guy over the counter hands him $20, but we pay the guy in the counter." And I'm like, wow, I am so impressed. But yeah, as I said, I was really impressed. We use public transport everywhere in Turkey, and we were able to, it runs on clockwork. It's never been late. And we were able to get on every bus and tap using a credit card to pay on the ferry, on the bus, trains. In contrast to that, we were in Greece, where you can use your card for everything except on public transport, where you do have to have cash to pay for your trips. So that was quite an interesting revelation. And coming from Australia, where we hardly use any cash, everything is now pay wave. It was quite refreshing to hold cash and coins. I know euros. There's all these coins and 1 cent and 2 cent coins. Just a very strange experience, I have to say. But in terms of AI and technology, a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of businesses are aware of it here in every part of the corner of Turkey and Greece and every country that we've been to so far. And it seems to be on top of everyone's mind. And I was actually listening to an episode on another podcast. I haven't heard this particular marketing guru talk in a very, very long time. And his name is Simon Sinek. So if you haven't heard of Simon Sinek, he has written a book called Start with the Why. And it's a really good book. If you don't know Simon Sinek, you will discover he's a brilliant, intelligent guy. And I just was really, really surprised by his thoughts on AI and what he had to say on AI and human connection. So in this podcast, and I believe he has a podcast, he used an analogy of a social media influencer where people used to using technology, such as me, recording this episode, hiding behind my laptop, and I'm recording this and I'm talking to thousands of listeners on my podcast. And that to me is such an easy thing to do. But if I am going to share the same message to a person sitting in front of me, nobody's sitting in front of me, I'm actually just by myself here. But if I have to share the same message to someone else in front of me, that would be a very difficult thing to do. Where do you start to explain? So talking to millions of people is definitely easier than talking to one person. And so in Simon's view is that, yes, AI is definitely something that we need to look out for, because it's the first time that it's been so quickly adapted, and it's fast moving technology. So it's very hard to know where it's going to take us, but it can never replace this human connection. And I think this is so true. Having gone through all these countries, meeting different people, I think this point is proven 1,000 times over for me. There is some special connection, talking to real people, and not using AI to do that. So I was really, really surprised by Simon's view, and I highly recommend you check it out. I'm going to try and find that episode I was listening to. It would have been on a ferry from Crete to Naxos Island from memory. Okay, so that's a bit about me and why I was away or silent. And what we're going to be doing next, I'll be sharing a few things around how to set up the right automation strategy for your business. And I'm going to use in the next few episodes some examples from previous clients that we worked with on strategy for automations. So we'll discuss areas around what happens before somebody makes a purchase, during and after, and how we come to these conclusions around the decisions that we made for that business And so it will be different industries. There could be travel, there could be coaching industry, consulting industries, other agencies that we worked with, and other B2B type of businesses, and e-commerce, of course. So yes, I will be sharing quite a lot about that, and hopefully get to interview and speak to a few business owners around that as well. So that will be for the next 10 episodes in the next season, which is this season 2. So yes, so that's exciting, and I'm excited to be sharing that with you guys. And so I think that's it from me for now. Teşekkür ederim, as they say. I thank you in Turkish, or thank you very much, or another one, efkaristo in Greek. So that's what I've learned as my new language learning model. So learning from real humans, not from computers. All right, I'll chat with you soon.